All right, good evening, everyone. I'll call the meeting back to order. The meeting of the Carver Select Board for Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. This Select Board meeting is being recorded by Area 58 Community Access Media, Channel 9, and will be posted by Area 58 on YouTube as soon as possible. There are openings on several committees. Please refer to the front page on our website for a listing and application. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Hoffman, if you could read our community prayer.
Almighty God, humbly we pray your blessing as we concern our life with the opportunity to serve our community. Enhance us with your spirit of dignity and selflessness. May we become instruments of support and understanding as we seek to bring an environment of trust and purpose among all who provide the many services that make us all that we can become. Help us achieve the goals of our commitment in this office that is now our responsibility. And especially, we lift our prayers for all the citizens of our community that we've been allowed to serve, that they may discover the fullness and joy of life that we all seek, and keep those serving in our armed forces and our first responders in our hearts and thoughts. Amen.
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 Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. All right, the first item on our agenda this evening is always the citizens' participation. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board? Yes.
Hello, everyone. Robert Belvin, 26 Gate Street, Carver, Massachusetts, and I'm here to talk about water. All right. I had a meeting, which I sent you all an email. Hope you all had a chance to read it. All right. It was a complete waste of my time. Okay. It's just valuable. I only get paid $300 to be the commissioner. All right. I'm well over that amount of money that I put into the North Carver Water District. All right. You guys said, meet with them, come to some agreement. The only agreement we had when we walked out of that room is he's keeping to the 650 and I'm keeping to the 1.3 million. All right? The North Carver Water District has two different goals. It has our goal, what we were told to do by the residents when it was created. It's under state legislature, we're to get water, provide water to the residents and the commercial growth in North Carver. We're supposed to get that plant up and running because of the poor management and oversight of the prior commissioners, all right? And also you guys that were selectmen, all right, all this years, and even I was too, in this time. But we didn't provide them enough money to keep the maintenance and upkeep of the facility. And it's in the position it is now because of that, by not providing enough money to keep it going. And also having the forethought of saying, we need to get a water plant, how are we gonna do it? Okay, how are we gonna expand our commercial growth if we don't have water? Okay, not one of you guys here at this table has ever publicly spoken and said, this is our intent with the North Carver Water District when we take it over. You didn't say it at any of your meetings, didn't say it at any town meeting that you went through it. Until this day, not one of you select board members, because you're gonna be the water commissioners, have said what your intent is with the North Carver Water District. Now, you guys gotta talk about a budget tonight. We put 1.3 out there. 1.3 is there to get it up and running. $230,000 for screens that this taxpayer is paid for because you guys appointed, not all you could do not went there, but appointed two people that held us out for a year and made those stupid screens go bad because we didn't have somebody in there to run the plant, to keep it running and keep those filters clean. Now they're a waste. So it's wasted $230,000. It sits on your hands here because you appointed two people that didn't do anything for a year. It wasn't until Kim Shea, who got elected, that went ahead and we were able to go ahead and do something, but get the DEP off our backs. Okay, not because of you, because of her, me, and Eric. And everything we've done has been as a group. Now, the North Carver Water District, our goal is to get it. What is your goal? Please tell the people here what your goal is with the North Carver, a $7 million plant. What are you guys gonna do with it? When the government and the legislature goes ahead and gives it to you. Or if they don't give it to you this year, there goes next year or the year after, what are you guys gonna do with it? We're gonna get it up and running. That's our goal. We've gotta spend money, we needed to do it, so you guys are gonna have to give us the money for it. Find it, I don't care where. How are you guys gonna spur commercial growth in the North Carver area if we can't provide them water? What are you guys gonna do? We're 2 years behind. If we order the screens next week, we got a year before we can get it. That means we have the year to get that plant up and running, all right, and providing water. How are you guys gonna pay for Middleborough water, which is 1.5 times their rate that they give us? We have no control over that. All right, how are you gonna pay for that? Because I'll tell you, we can't pay for it on a $650,000 budget. It's impossible. So how can a town administrator sit here and send an email to me that says, I'm gonna recommend $650? Tell me at that meeting, I'm gonna recommend. Well, what does he say? He says, well, we have people in our town that can do it. Well, guess what? You're still gonna pay them money. It's still gonna cost you guys money. The North Carver Water District wants to separate ourselves from the town, not turn around and have town employees doing the job, because it's still costing people money, the taxpayers, the North Carver Water District. So please, please, right now, all of you guys, tell the people, because don't fall behind, oh, the open meeting law says we can't talk about this. Guess what? You're talking about the budget. Guess what? It doesn't say that. Okay? You can answer questions from the public. So I'm gonna give you the chance right now to get off the seats and tell us, what the hell are you gonna do with the plant if you take it over? I'm waiting.
You can wait, Mr. Belvin, but give anyone, if anyone would like to respond, they can respond, but normally we don't respond.
I don't see why we have to put up with this,
That we
frankly.
don't.
Wait, what did you say? Sarah, what did you say? You don't want to put up with it? I'm a resident and a taxpayer. I'm an elected official in this town. Look at me, all right? You don't want to turn around and listen to me? You don't want to put up with it?
Mr. Belvin. Mr.
No,
Belvin, please.
no, I'm sorry, Chairman, this is my turn to speak,
Okay.
okay? But I'll tell you what,
Okay, keep
she is out of line. You put
keep
her
your
in
voice
line.
down.
You shouldn't raise
Keep
your
your voice down, okay. I've given you well over the 3 minutes, Bob, that we normally give for public speak,
Are
okay?
you gonna answer the question, anyone?
We're not gonna respond to that right now. If anyone wants to, they're welcome to, but, okay.
And the taxpayers paid for you guys to sit up there, all right? They gave you a vote to go ahead and take on the,
Can I?
If you'd like to respond.
So at the last meeting, I said, I think what a lot of people are concerned about is they don't know what kind of money it's gonna take. If it's the old car, so by you saying I never responded, I did. I said, if you had an old car, you're not gonna sink in millions and millions and millions of dollars into an old car
Right.
that's not gonna bear any fruit. So we need the assessment before we can make a decision as to what to do. And I think that's the first order of business, is to get that assessment done, because I can't stand here and say we can stick millions or billions of dollars into a water system that we just don't have. I need to know what the situation is over there, and we do not have a good idea of what that situation is. I said that at the last meeting, and I'm still stuck. I think a lot of people say, are we throwing good money after bad, until we know what that situation is and what to do.
Well
That's
said.
what I said
and
at
I
the
just,
last
a quick
meeting.
response to that.
I see.
When I took over, that's what I wanted to do. The board appointed 2 people that didn't allow me to do that for a year. We don't have the money in our budget. We have the money in the budget coming up. Please,
So that's what
allow that budget amount to go
that's what I
through.
said at the last
Thank you,
meeting. and
Mr. Belvin.
stand-
I just want to be clear that we do not have a discussion of this on the
Yes.
agenda right now.
Right,
so-
correct.
Okay. All right, thanks. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is a discussion and possible vote on the demolishing and removal of a structure located on town property next to Sayre Avenue on the northerly side. Mr. Siegenthaler, are you here to discuss this, or, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on up.
How you doing, folks?
Thanks for coming in this evening.
You're welcome. So I'm gonna give you a couple photos. These were taken today, so you have, I'll give you it'll give you a little better understanding of what it actually looks like. Pass those now.
Thank you.
You need that one too. You got one, Sarah?
You can have mine if you need.
No,
I-
we've got enough.
I do, thank you.
Mr. Palmer, Mr. Siedendorf, thank you for coming in this evening.
You're welcome.
So just so, this is the property, if you're heading south on Route 58 on the right-hand side, just before Savory Avenue, correct? Okay.
It's actually on Savory Avenue.
Is it?
Yeah, it may be, I'm not sure of the legal frontage.
Yeah, I'm not sure the legal address.
It looks more like it's on 58 when you drive by. It looks like it's actually part of the house at 151.
Well, that was my question. Does this actually belong to the town?
Yes.
Okay.
I see nothing wrong with this property.
It's a fixer-upper for sure.
Okay. So why are you recommending that we go in?
So the building has, certainly, as you can see, 80% of it is down. It's been open and exposed to the weather for 20, 30 years. You know, every bit of wood in that building is saturated with water. It's just completely decayed. How it remained up for so long is beyond me.
Honestly, I didn't know it was on town property. I thought it
Yeah,
was.
it is.
I think we all thought it belonged to the neighbor.
Yeah, and the property line is very tight to the right side of that building.
Okay.
And it's just, you know, with not the blizzard, but a previous storm, that snow collapsed. So the front wall fell inward or outward, and the two sides are partially up. The back gable end is just barely hanging on. So there's some sense of urgency and just wanting to get it taken down so
No.
it's safe.
Clearly, I would be concerned with somebody becoming injured, or
Yeah.
something like that in there. Mr. Siedendorf, is there money in the budget to do this?
Well, Ron came to me and asked if we could assist getting it down. We certainly can with the equipment we have. It's not gonna take much to get it down.
Okay.
So we can get it down, and then Ron and I were discussing maybe leaving it there for us. Once we get it knocked down, flat, it becomes much less of a safety hazard.
No.
Hopefully it's a dry spring, and maybe let it dry out a little. So getting it down, there's gonna be no cost. I can do that in my daily operations. The cost will come, probably we'll have to get a 30-yard construction dumpster, and then pile it in the dumpster and have it hauled away. That could be a couple $1,000s.
I would just have some urgency to that, 'cause I would be concerned with somebody walking or hiking on Savory Avenue and somehow or other getting into that and becoming injured, that's all. So I think if we're gonna go in and knock it down, I think then it has to be some urgency to getting rid of whatever's there. Yes, Ms.
So all of those lots up to there, if this is town property, then it's conservation land, because those were transferred to the Conservation Commission back in, I think it's 2021, at town meeting. So you just want to make sure they're okay with that? I'm sure they will be, as well as the Historic District?
Yeah, I don't think this one was part of that transfer to the Conservation Commission.
Are we sure?
Well, I didn't do an in-depth title search, but in looking at the field card and the deed, I see nothing that would have transferred to the Conservation.
Okay, so what we need to do is look at the
Others,
town meeting minutes, because it may not have been changed on the field card.
Yeah.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, just so the board is aware, there is some vague about who has over control of it, but we have asked the
It's care and
Conservation.
custody of the Conservation
And we have
Commission.
asked the Conservation Commission to weigh in on it. They did instruct the new agent, Olivia Pryor, to take action to bring this building down.
Okay.
They see the immediate need of it.
That's good.
It's the same thing with the historic, from what we can gather, the historic lots are actually on the other side of Route 58, but still, just to make sure, we're going to historic next week too.
Yeah.
You know, and again, we're kind of here tonight just to make sure the board is aware, so everybody's aware
Yeah.
that this needs to come down.
Well, it's in the district, so it's good that you're going to
I would
them.
recommend that any motion made would include some language, some
Yep.
verbiage to, make sure with the Conservation Commission and the Historic District Commission is consulted. Yes, Mr. Ryan?
I was gonna ask, so if we authorize tonight, are there funds to actually haul it away, or do we have to procure those funds?
I can look at my operating budget.
You think you might be able to cover it?
Yeah.
I mean, and to me, this is an emergency.
I
You
think,
know,
I think it
he
is
has
too,
to-
so if you need to go to the
You've got
Finance
reserve fund,
Committee,
yeah.
and this
Yeah.
may be something, I would just, as I said, once we knock it down, I would be concerned with somebody in there walking their dog or hiking.
I would agree.
somehow
It can be flagged, right? I
Yeah.
mean, caution
I
tape.
would just say knock it down, get rid of it, but
I agree. Okay, any other questions?
If I may,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, so there is within the bylaw for historical buildings, if there's an emergency or there's a building that's in need of being demolished, there is an exception for those buildings to be demolished. It's not something that has to go before the commission if
Okay.
there's that sense of urgency to remove it for safety reasons.
Okay.
It's a public safety matter. And I think clearly this is
I
a
think
public
it's a-
safety matter.
yeah.
Okay.
And quite honestly, I think you can see from those photos, there's really nothing in there to
Yeah,
save. There's,
yeah.
Okay. There's no questions from the board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Well, you want to word that, that's certainly right. So I guess the motion would be to authorize the operation and maintenance to remove and haul away the rotted building that's on, next to Savory Avenue on the northerly side, with notice sent to the Historic District Commission and Conservation Commission.
Yep.
Let them know.
That sounds
That would
like,
be the motion.
that's my motion.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, that's a second.
wording.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing, none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
What was this in its heyday? What was this?
Huh?
What was this when it was new?
All right,
Who
next.
knows? I mean, yeah.
Discussion, possible vote on 61A with intent to sell 7 proposed lots of undeveloped land for residential use located on Mayflower Road, 122, 5-1, 122, 5, 5-2-0, and 122-2. Shows as Lot 2, Lot 3, Lot 4, Lot 5, Lot 6, Lot 7, and Lot 8. And again, if any members of the board or the public wish to get a better look at that, there is a large map right over there in that table there that folks can look at. So I'll open this up to the board for discussion. Ms. Jones?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have, I've done one calculation on one of the lots. The zoning bylaw does read that lots have to be 60,000 square feet with 70% upland and 30% wetland. And it looks like the one that's, might have been problematic is only 22.22% wetland, so that's okay. My major concern is that this is Mayflower Road. As you all may know, this is a scenic road. Has been designated so in the open space and recreation plan as well as by our town meeting members, the voters of the town. And I think it's important to try to take a look at this. We don't have to turn it down right away. We have a certain amount of time before we have to decide that. There is nothing on this road but cranberry bogs and big boulders. And what we're doing here is something that we're the only state in the union that does this. We can go down an existing road and just chop it up with no approval required. That's what an A&R plan is, approval not required. They just have to have the lot percentages correct. I don't like it because we have no control over it. And I think we should really take a look at this and figure out if there's some portion of it that we might have community preservation money for, or some kind of funding for. I know everything's tight, but this is part of our town. This is our rural character and our heritage.
Just, Mr. Ryan, just a point of information here. The reason I asked the town administrator to make sure it was on this particular agenda is because if we did choose to purchase it, we need to go to town meeting and ask for the money. We do have a special meeting within the town meeting, but the time is short for that.
Correct.
That warrant. So
Thank you,
we need
Mr.
to-
Chair.
We need to make a decision fairly quickly if we
I-
want to get it on this town
I
meeting.
appreciate it. I don't think it hurts to have it there. We can do our homework before town meeting as much as we can. And if they say no, they say no. But we will have tried, we will have investigated it and see what we can do.
Mr. Ryan.
And that was my point. I was going to say, we probably want to draft an article for the special town meeting that's going to be held on
Good.
April 7th to at least be ready to go and bring it to the voters, because you're on a time limit here, so. once
That's
the
right.
clock-
Yep.
Once it expires, we can't, unless we go back to special town meeting.
Exactly,
again.
exactly.
So better to do it now. It's timely to get the article drawn up and
Yep.
see if we can get the funds, you know.
Yeah.
Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Mr. Cannon, so just so everyone knows, we do have recommendations here from the Conservation Agent and the Director of Assessing. Both are recommending that we don't purchase the property.
Okay.
Mr. Cannon, if the board chose to pursue this, would you have a recommended source of funding?
We would have to go to CPC and see if they'd be willing to, they're the only ones who would have funding
Yeah.
to purchase this, open space funding. So we'd have to go to CPC to see if they're, willing to.
Okay, have you had discussions with CPC?
I have no.
Okay, so the question is, they would have to have a meeting fairly quickly to.
Correct.
If I may, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, the Conservation Commission has a Conservation Land Trust Fund as well. I don't know how much is in that, but it is set aside specifically for the purpose of not actually paying for the land, but for doing things like down payments, title searches, etc. So there is potentially some money in that fund. We'd have to find out, what that amount is as well. Could be a combination is what I'm trying to say.
Would it be worth hearing what conservation's or planning and conservation thoughts were on saying that they didn't want to pursue it?
Sure. Ms. Verhagen, would you like to come up and?
For the assessors?
Oh, assessors, sorry.
Assessors, sure.
There's nobody here from the conservation.
Oh, that's, okay,
Sorry.
yeah, there's no one here from conservation, but do you have some insight on behalf of the assessing department?
The only insight.
If just come up to the table. I'm not sure how far the microphones reach, so.
Oh, that's okay, sorry. So I'm Olivia Verhagen, the Director of Assessing, just for everyone. The Board of Assessors voted on this at their last meeting, and they voted, they had a small discussion, but I believe the reasons were mostly for budget purposes.
Okay.
Budget purposes.
Budget purposes.
So if we had the money, they might have said, let's
They
try.
might have said something different, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But
Well,
knowing about the budget, that's what they voted.
I appreciate that, yeah.
Absolutely.
So we still have
If I
to
could, for
find
the
out.
board, I want to say I see a value here of $1,008,000. I'm
Well,
sorry, with a total, right? I'm sorry, I got the total wrong. $1,120,000 total.
Yeah, it's like $160,000 a lot.
Right.
well, you know what? Let's
So-
just do our homework so we can.
It's a significant amount of money.
I understand
would
that.
Take a significant portion of the CPC funds.
I understand. But let's just see I mean, if we don't do it, we'll forever regret it.
So what action do we have to take tonight? Do we want to put it on the agenda for next meeting?
I think we would have to take a motion to, I mean,
I don't think you have to really take any action right now. You have 120 days, right, to.
but
Well,
don't we
we
have to
need
get
to-
an article for town
We
meeting?
would
Well,
need-
I could draft an article for town meeting, right?
Yeah.
But we need a
That's the
funding
law.
source, though. We
Well,
need-
again, we'd have to go to CPC to.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I think.
And the Conservation Commission, see what they have in their fund.
So are you suggesting that we take no action this evening?
I don't think you need to, because, right, we'll open the warrant. They could make a motion on the,
I think we have something later on in the agenda about opening the warrant for the special
Correct.
town meeting.
Okay.
So, we can do that. All right, so you'll put this on
Yeah.
our 7th agenda for March 17th?
Yes.
And in the meantime, do you anticipate CPC is?
I'll discuss it with them. I mean, I think they'd have to actually call a meeting. I'm not sure they have a meeting.
I'm sure they would, but I think we need to know, whether there's a funding source or.
Correct.
Or not.
Correct.
That would certainly be helpful to our discussions.
Yeah.
Yes.
To know that. Okay. All right, any further discussion on this before we move along?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next. Let's see, next is a discussion and possible vote to establish a capital funding internal working group of 7 members to be composed of 2 members of the select board, the town administrator, the police chief or fire chief to be chosen among themselves, operations and maintenance director, finance director, and 1 member from the capital outlay committee. This was something I brought up to the town administrator a couple of weeks ago. I think over time, for budget problems that have come up, we've sort of gotten away from the way we used to fund capital. And because of that, we have a lot less money available for capital, and I think we need to get back to the way we used to do it. And obviously, Mr. Cannon was not here then, and I think we need to work with him to get back to the way we used to fund capital, to free more money up for capital. I think right now we are starving our capital program. So I brought this up, and in talking to Mr. Cannon, these are the members we sort of came up with. So it would be good to have 2 members of the select board, if anyone's interested.
John, go for it.
Sure, I'm
We
interested.
need to make a motion to establish the group first.
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to, I'll make a
Sure.
motion that we the select board establish a capital funding internal working group of 7 members composed of 2 select board, town administrator, police chief or fire chief, operations and maintenance director, finance director, and capital outlay committee member.
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I nominate John Carter.
Let's all in favor?
Let's go to committee first.
Oh, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay. Now, so Mr. Carter, you're interested. Is anybody else interested?
I nominate Dan Ryan.
All right. We have a John Carter. Why don't we take the nominations individually? See, we have is anyone else interested? All right, so that looks pretty easy. All in favor of John Carter
Aye.
representing the select board?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor of Dan Ryan representing the select board?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Congratulations, Mr. Ryan and Mr. Carter.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
You'll be good. No, you'll be good.
Next, we have a discussion, possible vote for a special town meeting. We need to set a date, time, and location. So obviously, the date would be April 7th, I'm sorry, April 7th. The time, is there a,
6:30 is fine.
well, doesn't town meeting start at 6:30?
It does. I talked to town council. He said it's
Okay.
scheduled for the same time.
So 6:30, and the location is obviously the Carver Middle High School. Do we have the address, Andy, of the Carver Middle High School?
60 South Meadow Road.
Thank you. Okay.
Good to have the superintendent.
Okay. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Do we have to say it's a special town meeting within the annual, or does it
Yeah.
really matter?
I think we should.
Yeah, we should say
It
that.
is a special town.
We should.
I move that we establish a special town meeting within the annual town meeting set for April 7th at
I
6:30
do want to be
p.m.
clear to the board, it will be a separate,
It is.
Yeah.
That's how you term it. You call it a special within the annual.
At 6:30 p.m. at the Carver Middle High School Auditorium, 60 South Meadow Road.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we need to set a deadline for submission of petition articles. I would say we would probably open the warrant now
yeah, today, right now.
and close the warrant.
I'm gonna say Friday at noon.
Do you have time to, does that give you time to work on the article if we move forward on this land?
Yes, we can draft an article and have it ready for you.
Okay.
You know, if we have to remove it, we'll remove it, but we'll draft an article and have it ready for you.
Okay, so you would say Friday?
How about Friday at 11, just in
Friday
case?
at
so we
11.
can-
What is the date on Friday?
I believe the 13th.
13th.
Can we have that date again?
Friday, March 13th, 2026, at 11 a.m.
Thank you.
to close.
Friday the 13th.
All right.
That's this Friday, just so people
Correct,
know.
this Friday.
Okay.
correct.
Yes, Mr.
Do we have any bylaws or any policies about how long you keep the warrant open before you have to close it?
No.
Okay, so is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. And just, Mr. Cannon, I just want to confirm with you before we take this vote, that that gives you plenty of time to do whatever you need for the articles.
Yes.
Get them written, get them back from town council, everything, right?
Yes, we've already had discussions with town council, not on the section 61A, that's new tonight, I didn't expect the board to be moving forward with that, but,
Okay.
we have free cash articles, well, we talked about it at our previous meeting
Yep.
for the North Carver Water District, so.
I just want to make sure we're, no problems there, that's all. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? It is unanimous, thank you. All right, next is a discussion and possible vote on warrant article review for the April 7th, 2026 annual town meeting. Second here, get out my draft, so I believe last week we put Article 1 on the warrant and made a motion to approve Article 1, so Article 2, the use of fiscal year 2026 free cash. Per the town's financial policies, fund balances are only to be used for one-time expenditures as they are not recurring expenses. This article will allocate funding from free cash for a number of budget transfers as specified above. $50,000 for a public safety radio communications fund, $400,000 for the North Carver Water District subsidy, $150,000 for the compensated absences reserve fund,
$7,500 for tree removal for 7 locations in town which pose a risk to the public, and $10,000 for Old Home Day fireworks for the 125th, for a total of $617,500. Any corrections to that, Mr. Cannon?
No, sir.
Okay.
I just have a question about this tree removal. Have we had a public hearing about that with the tree warden and the planning board?
Not that I'm aware of, but these are trees to be identified at Mr. Wood's discretion, and he'll take the appropriate action to remove those trees.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to put Article 2 on the warrant?
So moved.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Carver.
I'm against, obviously, I said this before, D and G. They're more like operating costs, and since we've got some additional new growth, I think that we should, put that in the budget where it belongs and, offset it with any new growth.
The fireworks too?
Yeah, I mean, they're just, there are one-time things that happen every year in these budgets, and for this tiny dollar value, why are we using free cash?
Because it's not oh, it is
It's
recurring.
not.
That's what you're saying.
I'm saying, yeah, I'm
Fireworks certainly aren't
I'm saying we always take down trees, saying that this is a removal because they're at risk. They will always take down trees.
And the
so.
fireworks we do every
I
year.
think
Yeah.
Mr.
Okay.
Woods isn't here, but, and Mr. Cannon, you can correct me if I misspeak, but I think this is unusual. I think he has a number of trees that over time have sort of accumulated on
Yeah.
him more than what he normally does, and that's
Yeah.
why he's requesting a little extra money.
Yeah.
It really is one-time money. It's not something that he
It
sees
is,
as
it's
a
not his
recurring
normal
expense.
maintenance, yeah.
Right.
Well, I think he should get the money. I just think it's part of the operating budget. So that's my point. But whatever
I
you
do
guys think.
consider both of them to be one-time monies.
Well, I would recommend that we take a vote to put the article on the warrant, and then if you want to vote against.
Oh, I thought I was. Sorry.
No,
This is just to put on the warrant. Sorry. Yes, put on the.
I move that we put it on the warrant.
We did, so we already have a motion.
We already-
Okay, well, I move to recommend the article.
All in favor of putting Article 2 on the warrant?
Putting on the warrant, say aye.
Aye. That's unanimous, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now, as far as recommending Article 2.
I move that we recommend Article 2.
I'll second
We have
that.
a motion and a second. Discussion on recommending
Yeah,
Article.
already
2.
did.
Said your piece, right? So, okay, all in favor of recommending Article 2?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye, 4 to 1. Thank you. Article 3, unpaid bills. Let's see, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $150 from the fiscal year 2026 department budgets listed below to pay the following unpaid bills for services rendered in previous fiscal years or take any other action related. So it's a vendor is the Redevelopment Authority FY 2025 member stipend for Roger Noblet of $150. Did that accidentally get left out?
He didn't
So
pay it, yeah.
That what
Yes,
happened?
yes, that's,
Okay, is there a motion to put Article 3 on the warrant?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Is there motion to recommend Article 3?
So moved.
All right. Motion and a second. Discussion?
So this has to be paid because it's a prior fiscal year?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the reason
Yes.
why it's set on an hour.
But I'm just saying, I'm surprised this is the only one. So there's no other bills from prior
Usually
years.
there's more.
There's no other ones that are gonna come up.
We didn't have any, the other prior year invoices were paid at special town meeting. We're not aware that this gentleman didn't receive stuff.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, all in favor of recommending Article 4?
Aye.
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 Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Let's see. Article 5, we are going to leave, well, we're on Article, moving around along even too fast here. Article 4, fiscal year 2027 special purpose funds. This article will set aside funds for the tax levy fund for the town's obligation for health insurance and other post-employment benefits for retired employees.
I'll make a
And the
motion.
amount is $150,000.
I'll make a motion to put this article on the warrant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on putting the article on the warrant? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Is there a motion to recommend Article 4?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, question.
Yes.
This is the lowest amount I think, that we've ever put into the OPEB liability account. And since we now have new growth, have we thought about increasing that number?
Gonna need it for other things.
So for the new growth For the new growth number, this is only allowing increases for our fixed liabilities. We have not changed the budget in terms of the total budget that's used for the town and the school, because this is the money that we would have prior to this, that came from prior to the school. So we haven't looked at increasing new growth to increase the budget, increase new growth just to cover the shortfall in the whole colony.
All right, I just think that in the future, we should make this a higher number because it does save us costs in the future.
Mr. Rudd?
I guess my related question is, so we were using 1.1 million for the new growth? That's what we had before?
So we're using 1.1 million.
And there is a proposal to raise it to like 1.5 or 1.6? But, so what is the actual certified new, well, what is the window of the new growth? Do we have a certified number, or is it?
No, so what happens is that in the fall, and I can have a review join us, in the fall, I provide a project.
Last
And
fall?
The town hired a data collector who, over the last year, has been researching and reviewing all the different homes, looking at different structures and the value. And the work that prior to that, he had a consultant. And the reason why Joe, at the time, Joe wrote to his assessor, felt like there was more new growth that was happening in Carver that wasn't being captured because we didn't have the staff. So John had done an information, so it was 3/4 the way through the fiscal year, and the new growth actuals are a lot higher than what was projected. And so, this was the only year that I felt would be reasonable to increase it. But the final new growth number is not certified by Department of Revenue until the fall. I feel like this is a comfortable increase. Had we increased it higher than this to include additional funding, we would have changed our entire budget. As we are so close to closing the budget, I didn't think.
So to Mr. Carter's point, what do we usually put in OPEB? Usually?
Yeah,
Is it?
more than that.
No,
Well,
no,
we
but
don't
it's-
have to put in what we usually put in.
I know,
It's just a goal.
I was wondering what the typical amount is we usually.
Maybe we need the money for something else this year.
We don't know.
Does Karen?
For you, Mr. As we were looking at what stabilization funds to put money in, we had to put money in OPEB. What the bond agencies look at isn't how much you're putting in, but you're putting in money consistently. Our goal, over the last couple of years, to have at least 200,000, 220. I think the highest amount since I've been here has been around 220,000. That's our goal to be. I think last year we put in 159, but our goal would be consistently being put in 200,000. It's a liability that they want to see that we haven't overlooked and that we're, continuing funding on an annual basis.
So I guess my question would be, and I always ask this question every year, is this enough to maintain our bond rate?
Yes, I believe it is, yes.
Ms. Verhagen, do you have anything to add to how we found this additional money?
No, Karen pretty much covered it. John has done a wonderful job getting new growth. Last year for calendar year 2024, we had 454 inspections. During calendar year 2025, he did 680. So John found us a lot.
Okay.
Okay, I get, do you want to address questions on this now or later on in the agenda?
Well, let's stick to, right now, Article 4 is what we
Alright.
have in front of us, so let's stick to Article 4. Do you have anything on Article 4?
No, I just more questions on this whole new growth thing. Go ahead.
Well, let's take a vote
Yep.
on Article 4, then if you want to ask a question on the new. Is there a motion to put Article 4 on the
So moved.
Second.
motion and a
We
second?
voted on that already.
I don't remember whether we did.
Did we already
Did we
vote on
already
it?
put Article 4 on the warrant?
We didn't have to vote.
We had a motion, but we just haven't voted.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? It is unanimous, thank you. Is there a motion to recommend Article 4?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Okay, Mr. Carter, do you want to,
Nope.
do you have enough? No?
I think I know where this is going, that's fine.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of recommending Article 4?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. All right, moving right along, we're going to jump to Article 6, which is the enterprise fund for the North Carver Water District. And I'll just read the informational summary for this. This fund's expenses related or incidental to the North Carver Water District Enterprise Fund, including capital expenses, debt, maintenance, salaries, contract, etc., for fiscal year 2027.
The town is still awaiting of approval of special legislation to dissolve the district, but the water supply will still be run through an enterprise fund after its operations are transferred from the town. Mr. Cannon, before we start our discussions, can you give us a little bit of an overview of your meeting with Mr. Belvin?
Sure, so we sat down on Friday, Mr. Belvin, Karen and myself, to discuss the budget and his request for $1.3 million. And again, I talked to him about where we stand with the $650,000. I do want to be clear with the board right here, and Mr. Belvin, I know, has left the meeting. The town is providing clean drinking water to these customers. We aren't pumping that water from the ground ourselves and supplying it through our screens, but we are providing clean drinking water.
Correct.
And from my understanding, a better quality water than the North Carver did in years before.
That's correct.
So, again, I think the board is doing the right thing here. You're providing a better service to the town. With that said, when I looked at Mr. Belvin's budget, things really jumped out to me. One thing that jumped out to me was, I want to say he had $450,000 worth of capital projects in his budget. Now, we should debate those, we should talk about those, but those should go to the capital committee. And one thing about it too, I don't see an engineering study anywhere who tells me, a professional water professional who tells me, these are the capital projects we should be spending money on first. I'm fine spending money on capital projects, but somebody with knowledge of the situation should be advising us on that.
Yeah.
And then if I look at the rest of his budget, with over the $650,000, he is even allocating funds for paying town staff. And that's because he wants to be a separate district, he wants to be separated from the town. The town continues to use staff time to provide service to the North Carver Water District, even though he claims he wants to be the separate district. We post agendas for him, we're doing the billing for him, we're doing the meeting readings for him. So if you take that money out of the budget, I believe that we can still provide this under the $650,000. If you look at the past two prior years, now this year, again, he's gone over budget. The past two prior years, they were both under $650,000. So, we're gonna see cost savings there. I also believe he's hired an engineering firm to do work. Again, some of that work is covered by town staff. And you're paying out there, that engineering firm a lot more money than you pay town staff to do the exact same work. So I also think he has a distribution system operator, that he has a standalone distribution system operator. The town has a distribution system operator right here for this building, part of the town complex, the elementary school, and the middle high school. If that one contract was combined, I believe it is substantially less money and a better cost savings to the town to do that, to hire this standalone distribution system operator. So I think there are cost savings in there. And again, once we do have control, I don't know why they haven't moved forward to do an engineering assessment of it and come forward and say, this is exactly what you need. And then, once that engineering assessment is done, you have to do a cost analysis. There's nobody who's told me, maybe Middleborough is the best cost analysis we have for the town. I don't know the answer to that. I wish I could tell the board that, but I don't have that answer today. I find it very frustrating myself. But I try to tell them at the Friday meeting, we have the same goal.
Yeah.
We have the same goal. We want to provide clean drinking water to our residents. That is the goal. How we
And
go
that has
about
been the
that.
stated goal of this board for
Absolutely.
many, not just this year, but many years. That's obviously what we all want to do, is provide clean drinking water to our residents.
Correct.
And I think we all understand that the folks on Plymouth Street who are getting water from, right now it's from Middleborough, they didn't contaminate their wells. And we all understand that. And our goal has always been to
Correct.
provide them the best water that we can provide them.
Correct. And again, and if town staff is stepping in to help that, I see nothing wrong with that. Again, that's part of our obligation. But I truly believe we can just do it at a substantially less money than what he's requesting.
Right.
Well, I just, for myself going forward, I do think that we need to really emphasize that, call it what you want. I called it a working group, you called it a transition team, but whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I really think that we need to keep that group
Yeah.
as active and meeting as often as
Yeah.
possible, so we can, see what the town can do and what the North Carver Water District can do until the state finally acts on that legislation.
Mr. Ryan?
I was gonna say, I think you need to be prepared to articulate our position at town meeting. This is definitely gonna come up again on the floor. So I think the justification should be clearly spelled out at town meeting, maybe with bullets and saying this is even, I don't even know if we wanna go as far as a handout, but we may wanna have a position of the board and bullets as to why we're recommending.
Yeah, certainly we want, as you normally do for the budget with the projection, we want to have something. We can get on there, that you can speak about.
And
Yes,
if I may say too, I want to make sure the public understands that my objection to the speaker in public participation, what was being said was not, obviously, we all care about the water our residents drink, and it's most important thing, actually, that we do. My statement referred to the way we were being addressed. I thought it was absolutely disrespectful, and not the issue at all. The issue at all is paramount. So just make that clear in the record.
So I'll make a motion to put Article 6 on the warrant.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you.
So I'll make a recommendation to, well, make a motion to recommend Article 6.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Yes, Mr.
Yes. I remember last year, I guess I'm not really, I don't think the 650 number is accurate to the point of natural expenses that run through that could possibly drive the cost up to ratepayers. I'm going by memory, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the budget in 25 was 650. I think in 26 it was 650. I believe the commissioners came back. Again, there was a $1.1 million number thrown out there, but they came back at 750 because they were looking at their, again, embedded costs. And we made it 650. And then I guess there are cost overruns right now, and now we're going into 27 and we're saying 650. So my feeling is 650 is not a realistic number, and it should be higher. That's my thought. I don't want to spend 1.3, but
Yeah.
I think the 650 of embedded cost just is not accurate.
And my sense is that, like, as Mr. Cannon said, we don't really know what's going on. We need to figure out what the heck is going on and what we should be paying for. We can't be paying for something that's useless.
I agree, and if we could
Yeah.
earmark that another 100,000 just for ratepayers, so they don't feel it when I don't know Middleborough water goes up, because that's really a pass through. I just, for what it's worth, I just don't think the 650 is an accurate number for 3 years.
Okay.
It'll never change.
Do you want to make a recommendation on another number?
I would only go. I don't have enough detail in there, but I know the commissioners voted for 750 last year, and I'm assuming I would use that as a base. But I'll let the finance director.
If we were to raise it, where would the funds come from?
Well, that was my
Yeah,
next
I
question.
mean-
I have
That
no
was my
idea.
next
Yeah.
question.
Well, we got new growth.
Well, I know, we do, but we would have to adjust. And it wouldn't come from, this article would state it, but it would be the previous article that we voted on for free cash that potentially, or some other way of funding it.
I think if we do find that we need additional money here, one thing we could do during the course of the year is go to the finance committee for a transfer. And I think we have to establish that the enterprise fund can get a transfer from the finance committee, correct?
Correct. I have all of the suggestions for
Okay.
Colorado District, so I've worked a lot with Mr. Belvin throughout the entire year. And so when we went on Friday, we really looked at not discretionary expenses or ones that we have to pay, water, electric bill. We have, like Glenn was saying, we have the engineering contract for 100,000, 109, we have the water distributor for another 124. So when we looked at this, the non-discretionary, every month expenses, electric, was around 400 and something thousand dollars to make sure we're able to cover water, we're able to cover our monthly expense left around $158,000 left in our budget. The only other source of funding, so I'm in the process, and I'll probably have it done by done sooner than that, do a comparison. The North Carver Water District did increase their rates, so my revenue for the North Carver Water District is very conservative. It did not include that rate increase as we were doing the budget. So I'm looking at consumption, I'm looking at prior year, I have all of the billings and the meters in the process of putting that together. So the only thing, what I would do is I'll look at the revenue, we have more revenue coming in this year than we had in the past, and see if we can increase the revenue in that budget, so we're not taking money from free cash, but we're increasing money in that budget to cover maybe $50,000, and I can see if I feel that that would be reasonable based off of the increase in rates, because that money would then be coming in FY '27.
Okay.
So if you look at that budget, where we have 222,793, that's a combination of the user fees. It's a combination of what people pay for water, what we bring into this a few different sources of revenue that falls under the user fee revenue that we report to Department of Revenue. It's user fees, so whatever the people are paying for money. We have some federal money that comes in, we have betterment, and we have solar money. We have solar credits that come in as money, and that revenue provides North Carver Water District with their projected revenue. So I could look at those numbers and see if we can increase that.
Mr. Webb?
So we have approximately 100+ residents. So if we were to come up with $50,000, you know, you'd be asking people to pay almost $5,000 as an increase per year to cover that cost. So I don't know if that's a source that we would want to go after, given, again, what we just stated earlier is that the town was responsible for the situation. So as much as we subsidize, I think that's until we can come up with a better solution. I wouldn't want to see a $5,000 increase in people's bills per year. So I'd rather look at other funding besides a rate increase.
So the North Carver Water District has already put forth a rate increase. That is not in my projected numbers, which just recently happened. So when you're looking at the FY '27 budget, my projections are very conservative, because sometimes we have receivables that haven't come in, or we bill and people don't. So, you know, I'm in the process of, just got all the billing and meters and consumption to see what that rate increase would look like in terms of revenue coming in. This is just a projection, so I can look at the projection and see that with the rate increase, how much more could we increase the user fee revenue based off of what they're already being billed.
So are you recommending that we table this article until next week, and you want to come back with some updated projections, or?
Yes, I'd like to be able to do that. I mean, I think there's room, because the rate increase has already happened. It's not in my previous projections if we need to increase, or we could keep the budget at 650, as Mr. Cannon had mentioned, because it does cover our non-discretionary items of water, electric, propane, and some of the other cell phones within that budget.
I do agree with Mr. Carter. If we've held this steady for the past several years, and things do go up all the time, and Middleborough might be charging us more too, it might be worth our while. And to Mr. Belvin's point, he keeps saying he thinks it's underfunded, and the town's gonna own this at some point. So maybe we should take a hard look, and just to be safe, maybe
I can have
consider.
numbers by Friday, because I'm already.
Okay, so that's fine. Mr. Cannon, you're okay with that?
I'm okay.
Okay, so why don't we take a vote to put Article 6 on the warrant, and then the next, did we already vote?
I think we
on
did.
Article 6? Yeah, I think we did, you're right. So we'll put the recommendation, you'll come back to us. If you have those early so the board can see them, if you could get an email out to the board with your updated information. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Before we move on to the next one. So, do you know when that rate increase occurred?
I believe it was in January, but I'll I believe it was in October, I'll double check.
Okay, so it's October of '25.
October 2020, yes, 25.
Okay. And then second, so the budget, just to double check, the budget that was presented, it will cover all the water costs from Middleborough.
Yes,
Okay, and that's the biggest expense.
that's the biggest expense.
Okay.
We have 2 contracts, and the reason why we need additional money for FY '26 is we have 2 new contracts. We have the engineering contract that was mandated by DEP, and we also have the distribution operator. So you're looking at more than $200,000 worth of expenses that we previously didn't have in the prior year.
Okay.
If I could, just so the board is aware, so one thing we did agree on with Mr. Belvin, the cost of Middleborough, we estimated around $240,000 a year for water, and then I want to say it's $231,000 a year for the mortgage on the plant. So those are the 2 big ticket items, if you look at that. So that's what, $470,000 out of the.
Mr. Cannon, for any of the contracts that the North Carver Water District signed, do we have town resources that could have handled any of those contracts, or are those contracts that would have had to been signed one way or the other?
I'm not sure.
In other words, for the contracts that Mr. Belvin signed, does the town have any resources that could have enabled us
Yeah.
to absorb those costs and not necessarily sign a contract to hire someone for those services?
So on the distribution system operator, we have an existing contract with another distribution system operator. We would have amended that contract to bring them into the fold. I would say at a significant cost savings.
Because I was gonna, so we must have somebody that does that for the school?
Yes,
and
yes,
for
we
the
do.
town well?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So-
And we negotiate with that contract.
So we're not liable for the North Carver Waters contractor?
I think we are.
No, we are.
We are liable for
If
the
we,
contracts he
if the
signs.
legislature votes tomorrow and we take this over, we take over both contracts.
But I mean, currently, we're not.
Not currently we aren't, but
Right.
But I guess my point is that if we had been working in a
Together.
closer relationship, we could have found a way to lessen those costs.
Yeah.
correct, we
could
could have
have.
totally lost those costs. Again, I would recommend that he sit down with DEP and
Yeah.
renegotiate that whole discussion.
I have a question. So
Yeah,
that-
seriously.
So the operations manager that the town has, North Carver Water District had the same one at one time?
Distribution.
Distribution, sorry.
Previously, we did.
Same-
Small
same-
water systems, yes.
Right,
And then,
which we canceled their contract.
they canceled on
They
us.
canceled, so we don't know if they would have taken, because I know what you're asking was the same question I had asked before, that I was told that small waters canceled. Have anything to
Right,
do
they,
with-
they canceled, but do we know who the town's distribution?
I don't remember, Mr. Seedenoff has told me, I can't remember.
Okay, I see our school super, Mr. Neef, any chance you know who the distribution officer is? No.
I do that, I'll take it to you.
Oh, okay,
I have it.
okay, Mr. Ryan.
So if we're gonna table this for next week, could we actually get an estimate from the distribution operator to
Yeah.
take this on and just tell us?
Well, it doesn't matter, Mr. Belvin's already signed the contract.
No, we're amending,
our-
we're assuming that once we transition and the state gives us the authority, and we're gonna probably amend our contract. with our
That makes good
distribution
sense,
operator.
yeah.
Yeah, I can ask the
So
question.
It'd be
Sure.
good to at least get a quote on how far up we are. You
Yeah.
think
Okay.
we might save
That would be
money?
nice to know.
It would
Absolutely.
be good to know for the budget.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So the distribution officer is James R. Mullen. Currently, we're paid out through February around $40,000. I'm anticipating it's about $5,000 a month, so I'm anticipating spending about $20,000 for the rest of the fiscal year.
Is that the town's distribution officer or the North Carver?
Distribution for North Carver.
The water district,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
He has a one-year contract, and within the contract, it states that, it can be renewed under the conditions that there's money available, counting that there's appropriated funds available to continue this contract.
All right, thank you. Anything else on Article 6 before we move on? Okay, Article 7. Mr. Cannon, are we ready to discuss Article 7?
The only discussion we could have on Article 7 would be the borrowing for capital, but we do not have a capital plan right now. The capital committee is meeting tomorrow night, so
Okay.
there's no plan in front of the board tonight. They'll have to come back on March 17th.
Okay, so let's move that to March 17th. Are there any questions on that before we move on that? Sorry.
Yes, I mean, I guess I got a question on this, is I'm on capital. And again, at the last meeting, we were told that there was no funds for free cash for capital. And then this number of 1.5, I don't know where it's coming from, because capital could make a motion to turn around and only take something that's life safety and not bond anything and put everything off till next year. I mean, they haven't made decisions just yet, so I'm not sure where the 15881, which is a fairly unique number, where that's coming from.
So originally, prior to using other resources to cover Gateway, we had a balance of 1.3 that we were gonna allocate to capital projects. We met with all of the department heads when that resource was recommended to be used to cover Gateway. After we met with the departments, based off of their capital needs that are urgent for them to have, I wanted to recommend 1.5 because that covers their 1 and 2 top priority projects. There are a lot of projects that they put off for another year, but there's some that absolutely need to be purchased this year. And so instead of the 1.3 that we were originally gonna fund when we had the money out of free cash, I realized that we were gonna bond the funds. I thought it would be better for the town to bond the 1.5, and we're looking at $200,000 more.
If I could just check, Mr. Carter, I'd view it as a maximum borrowing amount. So, to kind of give the board, like I said, when we walked into the capital committee, before we reallocated funds, we drew out a figure to the board of 1.3 million. Then the board picks and chooses the projects to fit underneath that $1.3 million cap. This time now, we've gone over to borrowing, we feel comfortable borrowing $1.5 million, and then the capital committee works under that cap. So it's just a recommendation.
So you're advising capital, we have a not to exceed of 1.5 million?
Correct, that's right.
We haven't presented that to the capital committee.
Correct.
With the changes that we made, that will,
When is that meeting scheduled for?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. All right, anything else on that? Fine, anything good? All right. So next is Article 9, a revolving funds. This is an annual housekeeping article that establishes the spending limits for the various revolving funds of the town. The revolving funds are funded with receipts received from fees charged for these programs, and the article establishes the maximum amount that can be spent from those funds in the current fiscal year. No money is being appropriated for this article, and the funds are the library fine revolving account of $15,000, the Council on Aging Nutrition revolving account of $55,000, the earth removal fee revolving account of $250,000, the transportation revolving account, or GATRA, of $250,000, the fire department revolving account of $30,000, the recreation committee revolving account of $80,000, the solar net metering credits of $500,000, and the Carver School Athletic Advertising Fund of $50,000. Is there a motion to put Article 9 on the warrant?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there a motion to recommend Article 9?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Question.
Yes, Mr. Carter.
The solar net metering credit, $500,000. Is that new, or has that been raised, or is that a new fund?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, that's not new. That has been in the warrant. Last year, we looked at all of the accounts and the revolving accounts under that Mass General law to make sure they had limits. So that it can't spend over the limit that has been set in the warrant.
But what if there were $600,000 of solar net metering credits? You would have to turn it down?
Yes.
Okay. There's a solar farm out there, I know I'll get it wrong, but it's something that, I don't think it's in Carver, but for some reason with a lead, I want to say the Silver Lake Educational District of some sort, that there's a balance that keeps building. I'm thinking it's like $250,000 every year, so is that included in this solar net metering credit?
I'd have to look into that to see all of the vendors that are contributing money. I can believe it is, but I'll have to confirm that.
Yeah, confirm that, and just confirm that that's the one we're taking that 1/3 of the solar funds for the, I think it's the school roof,
Okay.
that was voted at a town meeting that is a mandatory allocation. That 500,000 just looks light.
All right, anything else? All right, we have a motion and a second to recommend Article 9. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I have a question about Article 8.
Okay.
We have that coming up
Yeah.
in the agenda, but it's after.
Yeah.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Yep, no problem. Okay, Article 10, the Community Preservation Committee. To see if the town will vote to hear and act on recommendations by the Community Preservation Committee for fiscal year 2027 and appropriate and/or reserve a sum or sums of money from the Community Preservation Fund fiscal year 2027 estimated annual revenues for the administrative expenses and all other necessary and proper expenses of the Community Preservation Committee and in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 44B, subsection 6. And yes,
Oh, I was going to say, the Finance Committee hasn't met with this. I guess they're setting to meet with the Community Preservation Committee to make a recommendation, so they postponed this. Do we need them or can we just go without them as a recommendation?
I don't think we need.
This is a standard
Yeah,
thing they
this
do
is
every year.
Pretty standard, yeah.
As far as the numbers go, I think.
Yeah.
well, the reserves are, but the appropriations aren't. I mean,
Yeah.
the debt is, but there's 2 items on here that are new, but they're small.
But they've They've already voted on
Yeah,
it.
the Community Preservation Committee has already voted.
Yeah, I mean, they're
So,
recommending it, so.
So let me read the numbers for the folks at home. So under the appropriations, the committee administrative expenses of $30,450. Middle high school track debt service of $328,500. The 250th anniversary flag project of $2,500. And the 44 Lakeview Street project of $50,000. And of the reserves, the Historic Preservation Reserve Fund of $85,700, the Housing Reserve Fund of $88,200, and the Community Preservation Unrestricted Reserve Fund of $346,650. Is there a motion to put Article 10 on the warrant?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion to recommend Article 10?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous, thank you. And finally, Article 11 is the disposition of property off South Main Street. Mr. Cannon, are we still in limbo on this?
We are still in limbo on that. We are waiting for the clear title to be presented to us from the Union Society organization.
And
It
they
is-
have legal challenges, right, that they've had. So we're gonna have to make a decision by our next meeting on the 17th, whether or not.
I
to
did
put
tell
this on
him,
there.
you know, this Friday would be a submission
Still?
date for his deed, and that the determination be made on the 17th.
Okay, and if they can't get it ready, then next time, whether it's a fall town meeting or next spring, we have
Correct.
the article. and we'll-
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just real quick, Mr. Cannon, did you give them my suggestion as to legal counsel?
I have, they do have legal counsel. It does sound quite complicated. They do.
It's not. It's not.
I do understand, Ms. Ewan, but they seem to struggle with it.
Okay.
Okay, so there's no action
You
for
want
us to take.
yeah, we could table this one easily.
All right, so next is a update from our finance director on the fiscal year 2027 budget. And also the Old Colony assessment, fiscal year 2027 new growth, fiscal year 27 revenue split prediction summary, and the capital project debt service. Ms. Praval?
What are we doing here?
So I provided.
Well, I think that's on it, that's just this thing, the bottom. We're out of the warrant.
Oh, thank you.
So the Old Colony, in your binder, if you turn to, you have your binder, if you turn to page 9, section 9.
Is this in the updates that we were presented tonight?
This is in the updates that you were provided.
Okay.
So for the Old Colony Regional Vocational School,
Section
they,
9.
they normally provide their estimates in March. We just received an email from one of the finance committee members of the assessment from the Old Colony. When I did my projections that I provided in the fall did not include, if you look at the sheet in your document, in your packet that says FY27 draft member town assessments, this comes from the Old Colony Regional Vocational School. When I provided my estimate in the fall, I looked at the Carver estimate, the previous estimate that we provided didn't include local contribution expectations to include those numbers. And so my original estimate was the $1,229,306, which came from my previous document, but I wasn't aware at the time that it included local contributions. They're meeting tomorrow, and we're getting a certified document from the region, and it will not go over. So I had to increase that down because that's the segment that we have to pay. And so as I was looking at where could be funding, I then met with our town assessment. I didn't see any from the local institutes, library, services. I recommended to new growth by the shortfall for the Old Colony Regional Vocational Tech School. You know, that's my update that I have for just that one page.
Okay. How about the FY 2027 revenue split projection for summer?
Yeah, so this is part of that revenue split.
Okay.
So within that revenue split projection summary, my original tax levy, which includes new growth, was 37,540 for 485. If you're looking for that document, you can go to section 2 of your binder.
Again, the new pages, section 2?
Pages, yes, section 2 of your binder. And the page is labeled FY 27 revenue projection split summary, updated 3/9/26. And if you look at the revenue sources, we have our tax levy, total tax levy. Original tax levy was at 35,540,485, 485, with my estimated new growth at $1.1 million. That now has increased to 1,574,166, and it's only enough to cover the Old Colony Regional Vacation Tech shortfall from my original projections. If you go to the next side where it says fixed liabilities, and you go down to you see Old Colony Regional Vocational Tech, FY 27 on January 21st, I had an estimate of 1,229,806, and that now has increased to 1,073,472.
Okay. Other questions on this?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Carter?
Well, can I go back to this?
Yes.
Go back to the Old Colony Votech estimate. Again, I've asked for some information. I don't know if it's in this pack or not, but I'm looking for the act. I went to a few of the meetings, I was on the finance committee once before, and back then they used to give us their estimated budget, what their enrollment rates, and tell us what our allocation was, and that's what we would use during the budget process. So we didn't use what they gave us. You tried to come up with your own?
So if you go to page 9, we got this information on Friday. They haven't provided, usually they give us a certified copy of what each town's estimated assessment is. They don't do that until the end of March. So as we were beginning our budget season, there was an estimated amount that I saw for Carver at the time in previous sheets, but it didn't include everything. And so I didn't know at the time that it also included transportation. So if you go to page 9.
I don't need to go into details. I wanted this to look at it earlier, and we just got it today. So,
I didn't have this information earlier.
all right.
With
So
the,
one flag is, and I should have seen it myself, is you can't go from 1.5 down to 1.2. I mean, it never goes down. It either plateaus or goes up based on, your student enrollment goes down, your costs go up. There's never a reduction. So I should have noticed that, but we should have some kind of procedure in place that's a red flag. So because it seemed to go by everybody. I'm sure the finance committee looked at it as well, but this seems to be a miss that we really should have got from a standpoint of, hey, the budget's done, we all voted on it, by the way, here's a $500,000 increase. We just need to get some policies and procedures in place to have some kind of checks and balances on that. But again, that's not, this is, the enrollment numbers, are they staying the same, stagnant, are they going up?
I'll have to look and see what happened last year. They're not going down from conversations that I've had, but I'd have to look at last year's projection.
I would like,
Mr. Chairman, just.
I think
would
he
like
told
to
us they're going up.
There is a FY '26 enrollment on the cover sheet here. I see of 92 students. And then there's an enrollment of 10/1/25. It does say preliminary, but it says it's going up to 98 students.
okay, well, I think it was
Right on.
I thought it was 90 in 26 as well. But at any rate, I'll look at that. But I just got a concern is like we all missed it, and I should, myself included, I missed it. So getting back into new growth issue, and unless I completely missed it, I didn't know that there was a new growth exercise going on as we're going through this process, and I'm trying to wrap myself around these numbers. Originally, it was 1.1 in new growth, and I believe the 1.1, I'm only going by memory, I thought 960 had to relate to the battery storage, which means, and I could be wrong, like 136 in estimated new growth for everything else. So I don't know how we go and vote on a budget with 1.1 million and 2 days later, I heard the new growth number was additional 1.5 million on top of that. So how do we as the board not know, hey, even if we don't know the number just yet, this new growth number could be changing before we vote on the budget? I mean, it seems like we were almost towards the end of having a new number and we voted on the budget already. So I'm trying to figure out how that happens.
With circumstances that happen, so in the fall, we come up, I meet with the town assessor, we come up with an estimate. I don't have a breakdown of just what that estimate, because it's an estimated number of what we think new growth is gonna be, and maybe even be a living wage, if you wanna add anything to that. I only looked at the new growth number when I realized that we needed additional funding, and I was looking to see, okay, where could we have additional funding when I met with the assessor. And we realized this is not something that would be a practice. This is absolutely not a practice. And when we compared the actual new growth to the projected, then I made a recommendation that we increase our new growth numbers. But this is something that it wouldn't be a practice. My revenue projections are done in the fall. They usually don't change, but just due to the current circumstances of everything that's happened, I had to look at other areas where we could use funding. I didn't want to go to other sources of stabilization.
And again, I know we've got financial policies, and everybody knows I 100% agree with the financial policies of putting all this stuff above the line. But I believe our financial policies read that if you get new growth and it's 1.5 million, it should be showing in the schedule, not picking and choosing that it should only be $472,000 to make the old Colony vocational technical tie out. We should be running the 1.5 in here as additional new growth. Then I would suggest we use the 472 to cover the vocational, and we use the other million to put in the health insurance for 2027, because we've got some we got some unknowns there that are gonna come due in 2027. So what's the rationale for saying I've got a 1.5 million in new growth, but I'm only gonna use 472?
So the 1.1 was the original amount of estimated new growth.
That was the new one, originally, yep.
So cover our original budget with the allocation of the 1.2 for the local Old Colony Regional School. If we wanted to increase, let's say, health insurance, and cover more, we'd have to increase our new growth figure.
Well, I thought, that's what I thought. Maybe I'm mishearing you, right? I thought the new growth number was the million plus another 1.5 million in new growth.
No, the original projection was 1.1 million.
Yes, I agree.
Increased that by 474,166.
Because the new growth is an estimate, and you're just, you're using that to basically, so there isn't, I just want to make sure there's not additional new growth that we need to be transparent on, and that we're showing it the way it should be in relation to these policies, because, yeah. Okay.
No, this is an estimate, so the estimate that I gave in the fall is very conservative, because sometimes you don't know what the new growth numbers are going to be, but when we looked at the actuals, they were a lot higher, and so I just recommended to cover the shortfall, not to increase our new growth, to change our budgets. Because we still have to, the new growth isn't certified by the Department of Revenue in the fall, but I feel comfortable increasing it by the amount that we were short. And like you said, John, you're correct. The $1.2 million is low for Old Colony. That should have stood out for me, being a mistake. I didn't include the contributions and equipment. I don't see this mistake happening in the future. I've reached out to Old Colony, and so I'll be working with 2 of their staff beginning in the fall when they start looking at the assessments. So we'll be able to know from the very beginning what they're looking at, and I'll be attending their meetings as well. That did not happen this year, but moving forward, I believe that I had to address them, so that's how I addressed the issue.
Okay, and I just, going on the policies and procedures, before we, the board, vote on anything, I guess you might want to build in a new growth check before we sit there and, I mean, I know that decisions were made and cuts were made based on having a relatively low new growth number, but I mean, that's something that we just gotta get on before we make our final votes, because, you know, it's just tough to turn around and make these cuts and turn around find this additional money.
And there's, I mean, when we met with the finance committee, we did also, mention that, with this change, with the shortfall in the old colony, that we did have two options. We could, with this shortfall, we would be decreasing the town budget by 158,000. So if we're looking at keeping with our original projections, and the school budget would have to decrease by 324. So we're looking at our options of decreasing the budget to create a balanced budget, and then I'd recommend instead of decreasing our budget, since where we're at right now and the amount of decreases that we have, it's increasing our new growth based off of actual figures that I feel are still conservative to cover the shortfall.
Thank you.
Mr. Ryan.
So on this FY '27 revenue prediction, the split projection summary, I wanted to ask a question on what numbers are we using for the cherry sheet? Last night I went to the page, the state page, and
Yes.
the estimate for the governor's proposal is 14,578.39. So we're using a couple $100,000 short of that, and in addition, the charges that were being estimated are 2,298,359. So our charges are higher. So there's like several $100,000 of a difference there between the governor's proposed state aid and what we're using for a number in there.
So for our state aid, I put in a projected budget for state aid. When I put in the projected budget, the governor's, I put a projected amount for receipts at $4,313,450. The governor's budget came in at $14,578,39, which was substantially higher, but you have to then look at your assessment charges. Your assessment charges were $2,298,359, plus we reduced school choice, and we reduced the library. So when you take the amount of the receipts, minus your assessments, minus school choice, and minus what we put in revolving accounts for library, the difference between my projection and the governor's budget was $22,708. We received the governor's budget significantly later than when I did my estimation. I didn't see a point in updating and changing our entire budget, because it still goes through conference committee, and usually when you go through conference committee, there's a substantial larger increase. So the difference between the state aid governor's budget and the projected budget that I put in, there was a difference of $22,708. And so that is why I didn't change my original budget, because this is the budget we used to balance it. And I said for $22,708, I believe that we would receive that by the time it went to conference committee.
So the numbers you're showing in here are adjusted for the school choice and the library?
That's correct.
So you've subtracted them already
Yes,
out of
they're
it?
already subtracted. So you would have 11 million, so my budget for state aid was 11,588,664. The governor's budget was 11,565,956. When you take out the assessments, you take out school choice and library, because you have to subtract that from the receipts, was the difference of 22,700.
Okay. Right? Yeah, I need to go through that.
Mr. Hoffman, did you have something?
So the Old Colony, you said the mistake that was there was because the contribution and transportation and equipment, that wasn't figured in originally?
That wasn't added in.
Okay, so last year that was added in?
So yes, that was part of it. And last year when we did our budget later in the fiscal year. And when the Old Colony, we haven't received our certified number yet. But when I spoke to them this morning, they said that would not go above the 1.7. But they do it later in the year. They said the certifications usually come at the end of March.
Okay. Well, that was it. Thank you.
Okay, anything else on this?
Just
Mr. Cannon, do you have anything to add?
No, sir.
Mr. Carter?
Sorry, one weird question. When they give us this 1.7, can we say no? I'm not how that works. Is this something where there's no, hey, we think it's too high, or hey, we can't afford it? It's just, you have to accept it? Is that the way it works?
After speaking with a couple of representatives at the school today, I believe there is some negotiation. They have a meeting tomorrow. I wasn't aware of the meetings, but I now I'll be able to attend. We have some other meetings for the town where I wouldn't be available. But from our conversation we had this morning, that there could be some area of negotiation.
And I guess one thing to remember about Old Colony is they do have, because I know I've attended them in the past, they have meetings where they invite the town administrator and the finance committee, and I don't know who else they invite, but they have regular meetings where they discuss their budget, and they're very detailed, they answer a lot of questions, so certainly we should make sure that somebody from the town is attending those meetings, and certainly make sure the board is aware when they send those out. 'Cause I don't think they don't notify us directly, I think they notify the finance committee, if I'm just remembering correctly. Finance committee, they may notify you yourself as well.
To make sure that they had the right contacts, because I
Yeah.
was concerned that I hadn't received any information, so the contacts in terms of all the meeting goes to the finance committee and the town administrator, so I just provided them with the names of the updated finance committee to make sure that it's been.
Okay, and maybe Mr. Cannon, when you get a notice of those meetings, you can just share them with everyone, so everyone knows that they're out there, that's all.
One other quick question. So, the new growth, you're adjusting that. That wouldn't have been adjusted if you didn't find we need that for that deficit.
That's correct, and I normally, this is not a practice of going through the budget and something comes up and then just increasing new growth to cover it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, anything else on that? We good? Yes, sorry, Mr. Cannon?
No.
All right, so next is Article 5, the FY 2027 town budget. We got a lot of updates tonight on that. My recommendation is we take the time to go update our budget books and discuss it next week. I don't think, we've got a lot of new things here. I don't think we can be expected to catch up with that. So certainly if anyone has any general questions for the finance director or the town administrator, we can ask them, but I think as far as a detailed discussion of the budget, I think we're better waiting till our next meeting.
I agree.
Does anyone have any general questions for the town administrator or Ms. Proval? Yes.
Just, I think section 1 needs to be updated too, and our folks, that's out of date too.
Yes.
So if you wouldn't mind getting us copies of that too.
Yeah, as quickly as we can, so we all have those updated.
We can provide those tomorrow.
Okay,
Great. So they can be in our folders tomorrow?
Yes.
You can get those for everybody, great.
And one thing I just wanted to make note of, for the finance committee, they didn't have some of the updated numbers that you had within your binder. So we made updates between December and March. We made updates when we got a new IT director, when the Conservation Commissioner left. And so we updated those budgets, and within those times, we did not have a finance committee meeting. So when we had the joint meeting last week, some of their numbers did not match with the update. So as you're going through your binder, you may see that you already have that compared to what they had. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody has the same information. There are very minor changes that we made. The major one that we made last week, we had to do a legal, and I'll definitely take time to review that if you have any questions. So we had the finance committee budget that was increased by $15,000 for the grants. We had minor changes with the building department, around $200. Within that sheet that I provided a summary showing the changes that were made between December and March. As you're going through.
Just a suggestion, Mr. Cannon, that I might offer to you and Ms. Proval going forward. I know it can be difficult with the two different committees, with the select board and the finance committee. You know, we meet every other week on Tuesday.
Yeah.
The finance committee meets on a different type of schedule, where sometimes they meet 2 or 3 or 4 times in a couple of weeks, and they might not need it again for a couple of months. And maybe that means they don't necessarily get the information that we get on the same time period. But I think going forward, as far as the budget books and budget information, we should make sure that whether they have a meeting scheduled or not, that we get them their budget books on a timely basis. And then if there are updated pages or something like that, even if they don't have a meeting scheduled, that we get an email out to everyone in the finance committee, or at least to the chairman, for him or her to share with their members, so they know they can come in and get those updates. So they have all those numbers and they have time to think. Because one thing I did hear, that I think there was a little we may have had some information that they didn't have, and I think everybody needs to have all that information at the same time.
I will say with this, Mr. Chairman, I think they had the information that's provided them, because we update, we give the information out. But the fact that they didn't have a meeting since December 2nd, I'll tell you now, I attend a lot of meetings, I just didn't realize that they hadn't met for 3 months. Honestly, if I had known that, I would have just called the chair and asked for a meeting, just so we could walk through. And that's what we did last night. They did vote on Article 5 last night, they had a positive vote on it. But again, I'll take responsibility for that, I just didn't realize it was December 2nd was their last meeting.
I
And there
just
was the
think
holiday.
we need to develop a way of making sure that they know whether they have a meeting or they don't have a meeting, that they know there's updated information, and one way
Correct.
or another, we get them that information,
Yeah.
so everybody knows.
Well,
But sometimes, you see it tonight, you can give them the information that I like a face-to-face meeting, you wanna walk through step by step, Karen put it together tonight, it was, where is it, here, this is every change that was in there. Geez, I think one of these things was $4.73, but still, it is a change, and that's what Beth was looking at the other night, she was looking at the sheet, again, I just didn't realize they hadn't had that meeting.
I understand, I just think we need to come up with a policy of just making sure everyone's updated at the same time, and everyone knows there's updates. Sometimes that's the thing, people have to know there's an update before they're.
Correct.
So, okay. And then we have Article 8, the FY '26 supplemental town health insurance budget. We prepared to talk about that?
We are prepared to talk about it. I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, I don't like the way the motion is written, and I did talk to town council about that, and he and I, obviously, didn't communicate properly, because I think it should be broken out differently.
Okay.
But the article, I think it is fine. Again, we've talked about this before. Right now, we are anticipating on June 30th, 2026, that we will have a $4 million deficit in our healthcare line. We are proposing to handle that, and I'm gonna use round numbers here, of $1.5 million in free cash, $1 million from stabilization, and then $1.5 million, it's raise and appropriate, but that's the pilot money coming from the battery storage facility, and I wanna be clear to the board, that's a deviation from your policy, so I'd like the board to weigh in on that. So those are the 3 pots of money that we're looking at to offset this $4 million deficit.
I actually think the board should take a vote on if we're gonna deviate from our financial policies. I think that's something the board should vote on.
I think that's a good idea, Mr. Chairman.
And that's the $1,510,295, right, correct?
Yes.
So just a question, that I'm sure will be asked, may as well ask it now. If we don't deviate from our financial policies and move that money, where else would we get that money?
We did originally, right? We had looked, well, I shouldn't say, we looked at the 1.5 from that. We had, I want to say it was $2.5 million from stabilization. So if that 1.5 goes away, my recommendation would be that we take it'd be 1.5 million more from stabilization, for a total of $2.5 million from stabilization.
Ms. Perval, can you tell me what the balance of our stabilization fund is right now? Yeah, that's fine, take your time.
I'm in the process of doing a transfer, so at the end of June, we had 4,174,969. That doesn't include the transfers in FY '26 that I'm in the process of planning.
So I guess my point is that if we chose not to deviate from our financial policies, then we'd be taking more than 50%. We'd be taking more than 50% of our stabilization fund. And I can't imagine what that would do to our bond rating.
Talking to Hilltop and talking to bond counsel, They made it very clear that, taking money for you, and I understand this is an emergency, but taking substantial money from your stabilization could affect our bond rating. And I think that's that's what we're looking at.
And that's over 50%, yes. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, I think this is something we can discuss and take a vote on. So I'm interested in hearing from the board. Yes, Mr. Ryan?
Is the motion possibly going to change that if we could have an authorization to borrow, that we want to rewrite the words? So is this going to be updated? If we vote, we can vote to put it on the warrant because we want to have an article on the warrant, but we may not be able to recommend it if you're going to have the motion updated.
Well, I'm not looking to take a motion to recommend the article because it is going to be updated. I think what I am looking for is a motion on the deviation from our financial policies. And I think we need to give advice to the town administrator on how to proceed.
Right. Okay.
So I think we could take a motion to put Article 8 on the warrant. We're going to have this on the warrant one way or the other.
Yeah.
Right.
So is there a motion to put Article 8 on the warrant?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. And I think we could probably wait, well, we should wait until next week. when we have
If you
it.
could, I'd like to clarify at least the motion here, and then again,
Yeah.
if you vote differently on the financial policy,
I think we need
the article will
to-
have to change.
Yeah, I think we need to give you some guidance on that.
Do you want that vote tonight, whether we would?
I think as far as motion 2.
Deviating from the,
Yeah, I think what I would recommend is that we vote on this number, and if the town administrator comes back with an updated number next week, we can, we can vote motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
could we hear from Ms. Praval on this?
Sure.
I just wanted
I think we did pretty much.
I just wanted to mention, I have the number in the stabilization fund right now, we have $4,474,769
Okay.
currently.
Okay. All right, so we'd be looking at taking
third of it.
no more than that. More than that if we didn't deviate. It would be 2,500,000.
Oh, yeah,
less
if we
than 5
didn't
million,
deviate.
so
2.5 million, yes.
We'd be looking at, 55%.
I think that when we authorize bonding for the capital projects, what will happen is that doesn't happen until February of 2027. And so the principal, the interest is paid 6 months later, which would be in November. So you're looking at the FY28 budget. When we go to bond council, and we talk to Hilltop, they're gonna wanna look at our stabilization fund, so we need to have a plan of how we're going to replenish these funds. We're taking a substantial amount of money out of it. And there's a large questionnaire that I have to fill out from Hilltop. I have to provide them 5-year revenue plans, I have to provide them a 5-year expense plan. There's a lot of information that I provide to bond council before we can even issue, they review and looking at our rate. So I would not recommend taking a substantial amount out of stabilization, because then I also have to be able to provide an explanation on how, the town is gonna replenish this amount that we've taken out.
Well, even if we don't vote to deviate from our financial policies, we're still taking a substantial amount from our
Yeah, we are.
stabilization. Because we're still taking $1 million. I believe, again, Mr. Cannon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe our financial policies call for the transfer of free cash to the stabilization fund until we reach that 7.5% goal, that stated goal.
Sorry, the pilot revenue,
Yeah,
the pilot
pilot,
revenue,
yes.
not free cash.
Yes.
Pilot revenue, yes, that's what our goal.
But again,
Now, we didn't
Again,
have to.
Mr. Chair, those are policies and goals, those are not like bylaws, so, just to be clear.
Right, but I'm
No,
talking
I-
about how we would replenish the
Correct,
stabilization.
I'm just
fund.
making sure we know we're not breaking any laws
Right,
here.
we have that plan in place to replenish it.
So, so what I'm looking at right now is FY28. So we're already doing estimates and projections for revenue, for expenses for FY28, and looking at how we're going to be able to put and fund these different stabilization funds. So I'm already going through that exercise with my staff, because they're, looking at new flows, looking at, contractual obligations, because I want to know, in summer, what do we have? Revenue can only dictate what we spend, and I'm already beginning to prepare for what we're gonna have to provide to Hilltop and our bond councils in the winter of next year. and preparing ourselves so that they're gonna see that the town has looked into this, although we're taking money out of stabilization, that we have a plan.
Yeah.
And they're gonna want to see that, they may wanna see the meetings, they wanna know what steps have we taken, and they're gonna look at our financial policies, you know, in terms of how we're adhering to them, what we'll put in to our capital and debt stabilization, because we have a capital and debt stabilization. You know, as of June, we had more than 600,000. We could have used that, but we had plans based off our financial policies to use that to cover debt service when the ladder was coming in 5 years. So I don't think we should deviate from that.
I think, Mr. Cannon, you're gonna have to get together with Ms. Praval, put together a plan and present it to the board about how we're gonna replenish this, because it affects so many things. You know, first of all, it affects our bond rating, which is key, right? And we've been able to maintain that bond rating, but certainly this is gonna, you know, make people take a second look. And quite frankly, it worries me to take this much money, even worries me to take the $1 million out of the stabilization fund, never mind 2.5. I have concerns about taking $1 million out, and I don't know where else to go to get the money, but that's a hit. That's a substantial hit.
I mean, this
Yeah.
$4 million is an estimate. Couldn't we turn around and say we're not gonna put $4 million into a fund, and if we have an issue, revisit in the fall?
I think we need to speak to that.
Right now, I'm moving forward with a plan. The best estimate we have from our experts is a $4 million deficit. I feel an obligation to bring to the board a plan to address our deficit.
So what would happen? What would happen if we didn't take that money from the stabilization fund and we only ended up with $3 million in the fund instead of 4? What would be the consequences of that?
We may have a deficit come June 30th, 2026 that we wouldn't be able to pay. And again, this is the best estimate that we have from our professionals.
And who would suffer because of that?
It could be our employees.
That's right, that's correct.
We can't have
This is-
that.
But we've also been told that the $4 million might not be enough to cover this potential liability. So we could still have problems with our employees.
We could still have problems, but again, I have my expert I'm listening to. I'm bringing a plan to the board. The best plan I can come forward right now. I assure you $1 million is a lot of money coming from stabilization. I consider this to be a crisis. You know,
Yeah.
and again, I'm happy to work with Karen to come up with a plan
Yeah, I
here. You know, but bringing back that pilot money, you know, $1.6 million.
And if we're talking about a one-time. We're
One-time,
not talking
correct.
about a permanent
No,
deviation
that's
here.
right.
And I guess the other way, if we move the $4 million and somehow or other we get lucky and the deficit turns out to be 3.5, there's no reason, that money's not spent. There's no reason we couldn't move that money back.
Correct,
in a
correct,
subsequent-
correct.
subsequent
Exactly.
time, Put it back in the stabilization fund.
Let's just say we really do get lucky and it's a $3 million deficit, right? It's a projection. You know, the first thing I think we could do is take that $1 million and put it right back into stabilization, you know?
I mean, my concern, I don't think we can jeopardize our employees.
No, I don't either.
That's, to me,
That's
that's
the
the
big,
most
that's the
important thing
big
here.
point, yeah.
And that
I feel the same way.
drives
Yeah,
my
we have to
decision
do
here.
something.
So, is there a motion to make a one-time deviation from our financial policies and transfer the sum of $1,510,295 to supplement the fiscal year 2027 health insurance budget?
At the risk of making Ms. Praval very anxious, I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay. Discussion?
Ms. Praval wants to say something.
I just wanted to make note that when we found out about this, I did contact the Department of Revenue, and I've been in conversations with the Director of Operations, Deb Wagner. She sent me an email this morning, and she did mention that she's aware of the issue for all the 3 communities that are part of Gateway, and they're looking, and there may be legislation filed to allow for amortization of the deficit. So what that means is that, you know, we would run a deficit, but they'll allow you to pay it off over a certain period of time. So that, but because of timing, she mentioned that, she said, you know, they don't believe that there is a statute right now to allow for borrowing for payments such as this. So we still need to continue to have an appropriation available in reserves if this doesn't, the legislation doesn't pass in time of town meeting. So I think that, you know, proactively having that appropriation, if anything changes and that option comes up, to legislation from state, then that's something that we can look into.
And I think
Trying to look at all options.
you're going to work on the wording of this article with council, correct? So that that bonding is, if that legislation at some point comes forward, that we'll be able to act on that.
Correct. Correct. We can take a look at that, working with town council to change the wording in this article.
Okay. Again, we have a motion and a second, so any discussion?
I have a question. So financial management policy's been brought up a lot the last few years, how it's not being followed. This past year, have we been following, or the past 2 years, have we been following the policies? Because I know we updated them recently.
So for FY '26, we did follow the policies. I think we did a lot of housekeeping. We had articles where transfers, the wording in the article wasn't correct, so we did a lot of housekeeping, making sure money, like we had money, $220,000 that was in capital article that should have been going into middle school. We made those transfers and corrections last year. We put money into the capital debt stabilization. So in FY '26, we used the money and we used the pilot money to put into stabilization funds, which is exactly what we're supposed to do with that's part of our financial policies. And we are not using the pilot money that cover the operating budget, we take it off from the very beginning. It's just, this year is just a very unique year with this crisis that we had to deviate from doing that. But, we are maintaining our budgets. I mean, our budgets, we had to reduce our budgets, both the town and the school, just to make sure that we're adhering to the policies within the match. The amount that we have was not enough to cover what the budget request was. We had to find ways of, reducing more than $400,000 so that we adhered to the policy. So I'd say yes, we have. And since I've only been here for 2
Right.
years and a couple of weeks, but from last year, yes, we have.
Okay, because I know a lot in the past. I mean, I've been on the board for 6 years now, and financial policy is always brought up, and people saying we don't follow it. Why did we have it? I know we've had discussions in the past for a while.
Well, we've had quite a few disruptions and problems in the past.
Right.
I think we're on the right
Yeah, I'm not
path
saying
now.
because you're still new to this, so.
Glenn has had so many different financial policy meetings, giving updates, and coming into FY '27, we'd already met our goal of the amount of money we needed in our stabilization fund, based on our financial policy. So I definitely feel that, we're moving forward towards that. We will have, additional free cash. I mean, these are things that we may want to think about I give projections for the pilot money to be conservative just in case, there's bankruptcies. But as we get actual money in, we can always look at our actuals and say, okay, we had $100,000 come in for pilot that was higher than our projection. So when our free cash, we can state that from the free cash, we're automatically taking that money and putting into a stabilization fund. We're automatically going to use that money to cover what we took out for stabilization. So my projections in FY '26 did not include the battery storage. So when you're looking at the pilot revenue for estimates, it didn't include it because it hadn't been voted. So we received a payment for the pilot in, I believe it's in February and May. And so that is significantly higher. So when you're bringing in more revenue and we, don't seem to have any deficits in our expenses, and we're working really closely with the school, working on revolving, so we don't have anything else that may reduce our free cash. We can have conversations in the summer and say, look, here are our totals. This is a revenue that we're going to bring in. We won't get free cash certified until part of the fall. My goal is we're moving forward, I think, very strategically and efficiently. So I should have free cash numbers earlier in the year so that we can make, these type of decisions when the budget is just starting to be established. So I think that we'll be in a good situation where, in the summer, as we get closer to the fall, and I have final numbers and balance sheets submitted early, we'll say October, we can sit down and say, okay, cash for pilot came in higher than I projected, let's automatically put whatever the difference is into the stabilization fund. And if we have X amount coming in for stabilization, maybe we have 1.5 go automatically to capital, and have $1 million go automatically into the stabilization fund. And then you're still gonna have the pilot revenue as well.
If I could, Mr. Chair, I do see the financial policy area in front of me adopted in 2014, so it's 12 years old. I see 11 amendments to it. And I know, we
Yeah.
worked on it again. We have the financial policy working group. We put in an amendment for the battery storage pilot agreement.
Yeah.
Thought we were in good shape. We're in good shape. They actually backed out of the pilot. We worked again to come up with a new policy. If they didn't agree to the pilot, but unfortunately they came back and they agreed to this pilot, so we dropped that. But it's an evolving, document.
Yeah,
It has
yeah.
to change with the times, and again, I just.
Yeah, and again, Mr. Laval, just so you're aware, we did vote earlier in the meeting. I think you and I have talked about this previously, to establish that capital funding working group to get back to the way we used to fund capital. I think that's important.
Yeah,
that we-
I'm looking
we-
forward to doing that.
Yeah,
A
we
lot of
really
experience.
need to make that happen,
I'm
so.
looking forward to it.
So,
Any further discussion?
sure,
Mr. Carver?
I'll give my 2 cents in that, is that the problem with our financial policies is that we followed them for many, many years. If we continued to follow them, would have $2.4 million estimated of sitting in capital funding before any free cash. Because for years, we said, spend the money that comes in, and if you have free cash afterwards, then I'll buy a truck, I'll buy this, I'll buy that. I'll never put money aside for any health reserves, OPEB, nothing, because everybody kept figuring that bill would never come due. So putting your policies in place where you address them in the beginning of the budget process, not at the end, and not waiting for the pennies from heaven from free cash, is something that we stopped doing in 2021. So we reverted back to free cash, and I was raising the flag saying this is a problem from a capital perspective for many, many years. And now it's here. So now we've got $1 million in free cash for the past 2 years, 1.3 this year. We're gonna starve capital. We don't have any means to do it. So the policies are supposed to be enacted before spending, not after spending. But do they get amended from time to time?
And we're
Yes,
all
they do.
responsible for that.
Well, our goal is not to continue amending it. I mean, my goal is to make sure that, we have, we improve our rating. There's no reason why we can't go to AAA rating. There's different things that we can do. We can have a GFOA certified budget document that increases your rating, and if we continue to, as Mr. Carter was saying, not changing our policies and putting the money in. This is just a very unique year
Yeah.
for the health insurance. If the health insurance didn't come up, we would still be adhering to our policies.
And we'd have a fully funded
I think
stabilization.
that is the problem.
Yes, and we
Yeah.
can be putting, so when Mr. Can and I sat down, and before we were looking at the healthcare, we got the free cash numbers, we had already identified from the POUT money what different sources of funding we were gonna be putting in. We went right back to the financial policies, and we went to, I think it was section F, and we started looking at, okay, what were the stabilization funds that were set, that the select board wanted us to fund, and we automatically started putting buckets in there until we had ran into this crisis and we had to, recommend
Yeah.
using the funding to cover this.
Any other discussion on this motion? No. All right, we have a motion, and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Is 4-1? Is that proposal one? Okay. All right, thank you. All right, next is our town administrator update. Mr. Cannon, do we need Ms. Praval or Ms. Verhagen for anything else tonight, or can we?
No, we
let
can,
them-
we can let them
home?
go. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies. We appreciate all your help tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Praval, Ms. Verhagen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's a lot of work.
All right. Mr. Cannon?
Just to give you a quick update on the financial software, we're moving forward with that. We are onto one of the final steps right now. We are going to have a hands-on demo of Munis. This is one thing the board was adamant that happened. We've already had hands-on demos with Springbrook and Vadar. Well, Vadar, obviously, because we're working with it. But just so the board is aware, this is where the staff who use it every single day are actually going in and finding out what it's like to pay an invoice. I think that's one of the problems with Vadar right now. It takes you 12 steps to pay an invoice, where
Yeah,
before
it's
it
ridiculous.
just seems quite unnecessary. So we are at one of the final steps there on that financial software, and when that is completed, we'll bring it back to the board for the recommendation. So we have that working group, to do that.
I have a quick question. So, is this project put on hold or is continuing?
It is continuing. Well, so we first brought in an RFP. That RFP, we didn't get any responses to, so it took us a lot longer, Jim, to get the work done, because we had to reach out to the groups individually, first them all coming to us, and us being able to schedule everything, so, and then, working with the working group, come to find out, some of these firms, right now, I want to say 2 of the firms that we contacted, they don't have any clients in the state of Massachusetts. Once we went back to the working group and we said, we're very leery of this, we're happy to look at it with you if you want to dig into it, and they all said no, So again, it took more time for us because people weren't responding to the RFP. And then, also, it's one thing to have the sales presentation. It's another thing to do, like, say, these hands-on.
Yeah.
This is our staff, and it takes time because you're learning a new system, and you want to make sure they're comfortable with it. You don't want to.
That is the key thing. The key thing
It
is
is.
for our staff to go out and
Yeah.
work on this software and make sure it works for them.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's the most
What's
important
our
thing.
contract with Beta out? Do we know?
I'll have to check, Mr. Chairman. I'll check. I thought it was a year-to-year contract. The last time Ms. Paval was here, she thought it was a multi-year contract.
So if
I'll
the
have to.
contract, I guess my question would be, and you may have to look into this, but my question would be, if the contract comes up, if it expires,
Yes.
we certainly don't want to renew it.
Correct,
So
correct.
can we go to a month-by-month basis type of thing with Vadar if we're not ready to make a
Yeah, I
decision
will
on a
find
new
out. I will
software?
find out.
We certainly don't want to be stuck in another
Correct.
contract.
Correct. And I will tell you the board, so originally when we looked at the VADAR contract, I thought it was at least a multi-year contract, or if not, we were in it for the rest of the year. There was so much, I don't know what to say, so much anger coming from staff that I told them I'd be willing to break the contract
Yeah.
and take the loss. I mean, that's how bad it was. But then come to find out, really, our consultant said, you have to do it on the fiscal year. You can't change it in the middle of a fiscal year. He said it'd be even worse than what we were doing now. So, so we stuck in it. But that is how. We never got to that point because again, he advised us not to. But
Can you just let us know at the next meeting when the contract?
I will. Yes, I will. So
Sorry, Mr.
Just a
Costa.
question, so you saying that when you come back to the board, you're asking the board to vote on Munis or nothing? Or does the
No.
board get Munis or this one or that one or that, a couple?
So right now, there's really only 3. We did look at a total of 5. There's Munis, there's our existing system, Vadar, and then there's Springbrook, which did come out of SoftWrite, right? It's kind of the parent of SoftWrite, but it apparently doesn't have the same function. Everybody loves SoftWrite, I can tell you right now. When we switched from SoftWrite to Vadar, that's where staff really had to revolt.
Yeah.
If we could go back to SoftWrite, we would in a heartbeat, but
But they weren't being supportive. right?
Correct. And they switched over to this
It's too bad.
Springbrook, which doesn't seem to be, it just spoiled their fun, but it just doesn't seem to be as robust as SoftWrite.
Hmm.
But and then the other 2, John, like I say, really, no clients in the state of Massachusetts, which is always a red flag to me. You know?
Munis doesn't have?
No, these other 2,
Munis
I
is everywhere.
want to say one called
Sorry.
Earthworks.
Okay.
I can't recall the other
Right.
one, but, I don't want to be the guinea pig, honestly, it's too much work. Just so the board is aware, so that at the library, they're celebrating Women's History Month. And they're proud to celebrate Women's History Month by honoring the achievements, voices, and stories of women who have shaped our world. They have many books here and titles that they can recommend to you, so if you want to stop in the library and get some reading, that's a good thing for you to do. The next thing I have is I am told that the South Shore Magazine has a contest for the best place to work, and on that list is the Carver Fire Department. So if you have a chance to go onto the South Shore Magazine website, vote for the Carver Fire Department. Oh, and then I do want the board to be aware, and Mr. Ryan did mention it, the Finance Committee is going to have a meeting on Monday night. I don't have a time yet. Should be at Town Hall. I'll inform the board as we can. They're going to bring the school staff in for a presentation on their budget. We're not going to make it a joint meeting, but again, I think if select board members want to join that meeting, they could join as participants in the audience. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Let's see, topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair 40 hours in advance. There are none. We have the approval of the minutes of February 27th, 2026. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous, thank you. And we have the executive session minutes of March 3rd, 2026, and not for release.
Motion to approve
Second.
Motion to approve and not release.
and not release, yep.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I think I have to abstain for that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
401. And let's see, finally, we have a request for a one-day special license for the Carver Sportsman Club, 127 Main Street, from March 14th, 2026, from 6 p.m. to midnight.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. And finally, select board announcements. Mr. Hoffman?
I have nothing tonight.
No? Mr. Ryan?
Just remind people to plan to be at town meeting on April 7th. Just let them know that it's coming up.
Definitely coming up. Ms. Hewens?
Yes, it is important because everyone who's a registered voter in town can come to town meeting, and you get to vote on your budget and all the other articles that might be of interest to you in this town. We hope you'll be there. And also, please remember Shane Gives Thanks Food Pantry, as always. They're looking for donations. It's open to anyone in need, and in particular, our veterans.
All right, thank you. Mr. Carter?
Nothing for this evening.
All right. And just finally for myself, I just want to, just one last time, acknowledge our police chief who's retiring. His last day is tomorrow. And he's done a wonderful job for the town and has truly helped to build a police department I think we can all be proud of. So congratulations, Chief Dupley, and I hope you enjoy your retirement.
Amen.
Our next meeting will be on March 17th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Who's bringing the green beer? I want to ask.
Is that a second?
Second.
All right, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you.
We do have two documents